Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Kansept Anomaly, which is a Dirk Pinkerton design. This is a premium knife, but it has a really impressive price tag. I'm going to link it right down below. It's actually available in a few different configurations. It does help my channel when you use those links, but that's entirely up to you. Thanks so much to Kansept for sending this knife in. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me, and please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. Let's go ahead and get a measurement of this knife. It's not a huge knife, but it's also not a micro knife either. Overall length coming in at about 7 1/8. Blade length coming in just over 3 inches, maybe 3 1/8. Cutting edge is 3 inches on the dot. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons. Any custom scales you find in this section can be found down in my description under Original Goat and Others. So up against the AD10 and the AD20.5, much closer to the size of the AD20.5, but with more cutting edge, even though it's overall a shorter knife. How about up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3? Yeah, it's, again, closer to the size of the Para 3, but worth pointing out, literally, no, you know what? It actually has slightly more cutting edge than the Spyderco PM2. This isn't necessarily a good or bad thing. It is what it is, right? It just depends on what you like. I just like to show it. And then finally, up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue, and the Hogue Deca. Alrighty. How's the action? It's good. It's about what I expect from Kansept knives. It's not tight. It's not loose, right? It's pretty controlled, pretty consistent. The detent is good. It's got, I kind of wish, here's the thing. I want to say I want a bigger flipper tab. Really, personally, from my hands, I wish the whole knife was slightly bigger. But I understand, you know, that's really, it comes down to what, you know, it's personal preference, right? So the leverage I'm getting on this flipper tab is okay. Fortunately, the detent strength is very good. So it allows that flipper tab to work, even though it's kind of not the most ideal shape and length, I guess, for either a light switch or push button, but it works. I'd give it about a B-. The action is fine and the detent is fine. It's the flipper tab that makes it a little lackluster, but it's okay, right? Access to the lock bar is very good, thanks to a nice scallop and cutout there. And like I said, no double clutch. Good action all the way down. Very good. It is not a super narrow frame, but a little bit of a narrow frame. That cutout for the lock bar is right down the middle, so you really got to be careful about where you're putting your fingers, because if you put pressure on that lock bar, it's not going to flip. If you're new to frame locks, maybe you just bought your first frame lock, you're like, I can't get it to flip. Every now and then I get that comment, and I'm like, you're putting your fingers on the lock bar. Try it. Look, are you doing this? That's why, because that's too much lock bar pressure. You want to keep your fingers on the clip or on the frame so that you're not pushing on that lock bar. Carry profile. Thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. It's actually a fairly thin knife. It's a little thinner. Well, did I have that right on? Yeah, it actually is just a little bit thinner. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. This is not a cumbersome object in any way. It is shorter than both the PM2 and, than both the Para 3 and especially the PM2, and nowhere near as tall. Honestly, it's small enough and compact enough that it's a joy to carry, but it's not so small that you'll forget that it's in your pocket. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'm going to get out my tools. As per usual, my tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. I was pulling those out, and it's just like a bunch of other stuff just kept wanting to come with it. We have a T8 for the pivot, at least, most likely T6 for the body screws. Yeah, I wish that Kansept would start using T8, but you know what? It's just a couple of screws on each side and 2 screws for the clip. No big deal. Very easy to take apart and put back together. As long as you have the right tools for the job, it should be good to go. Let's weigh it. What are we looking at for materials? Very simple, but titanium, milled out for weight reduction, titanium pocket clip, a couple of standoffs, and an S35VN blade. So, weight comes in at 2.89 ounces, which is pretty darn good ratios. And the balance on it, balance is right behind where you're going to have your index finger. The whole knife feels really good. Honestly, at that weight, which is pretty impressive, At that weight, it's like I always say, anything under 3 ounces is ultra lightweight to me. I don't notice much of a difference between a 2.9 ounce knife and a 1.9 ounce knife. It just feels incredibly lightweight. It doesn't really register to me much. I mean, obviously you can kind of tell, but yeah, I kind of have to focus on it, right? So very lightweight knife, very compact. All right, blade stock thickness, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes here. So the blade stock thickness coming in at probably 115, 120. It's right in between there. Yeah, 115 thousandths is what it's saying. So there you go. Did I mention this was a Dirk Pinkerton design? You might have been able to tell. Then again, this is a very knife profile. We're 5 minutes into this video, and I am certain that at least one person in the comments has said, that's a copy of the blank. This is one of those knife profiles, much like the bug out. You can't really copy it because the handle profile and blade profile are so unbelievably common, have been done hundreds, if not thousands of times before either existed. This is just a sort of rectangular ergonomic handle profile, and then we have, I guess, whatever you want to call the blade shape, right? I mean, it's not a drop point. I always forget, exactly what we call the blade profile here, right? But yeah, it's been done a million times. So there are, I mean, if you can think of 1 or 2 examples, there are hundreds more. It's just a very classic overall knife profile, right? It's kind of like trying to, it's like trying to claim that you invented, like, nobody can use wheels with 5 spokes because your car rim that you designed has 5 spokes. I got news for you. 5-spoke rims pretty common, right? So that's what I'm saying. But if you're new to knives, I get that. That's kind of a knee-jerk reaction to things. But you get into this a bit and you realize, oh, okay, we kind of see that often. Ergonomically, it's all right. Pretty straightforward. No contouring. There's not a lot to fill the hand, but it is reasonably comfortable, and nothing has me feeling jammed in because the flipper tab doesn't curve down. I don't know why some designs are like that. And the handle is just open at the back. There's nothing trying to close you off like on the 8010, right? So it's fine. This isn't what I'd call a heavy-duty folder. This is just sort of an EDC design. I have to imagine that's what the goal was there, right? Not a lot of personality going on. Yeah, I mean, on one hand, like, it's just one of those, you can't really come down on it for being a copy of anything because it's just, there's too many things that look like it. But then again, when you do that, the knife lacks in personality. There really is almost no personality here whatsoever. It is blue. This one. So you got that. But would have been nice to see a pattern or something. Inlays, I don't know. But then again, they did a great job with the price, which I think was also part of the goal here. So just depends on what you're, depends on what you want to be critical of. But, they did a good job with what they're trying to do. But the knife lacks in personality. It's a concept, so of course we have codes next to S35N, which is what the blade steel is. It does come in a few different blade finishes. This one is blue titanium and satin. Blade looks nice. It gets reasonably thin down at the cutting edge. I'll give you guys a piece of paper or an example cutting paper. This piece of paper says Exciton on it for some reason. Yeah, it's okay, right? It cuts, it slices. Cutting paper doesn't really prove anything. Just factory edge is able to slice, and it will do that. It's got a tip, and there's a little bit of a, not a swedge. The edges are just sort of knocked down here, so that's great. No sharpness up there where you don't really need it, because we're not going to be using flint on a knife like this. Not most people anyway. Nice little sharpening choil there, so that's good. Says Anomaly on the other side and has the Dirk Pinkerton logo. I, again, don't think we need to write the name of the knife on the knife. We know what it is, right? That's just my opinion. No, you cannot touch the blade here, so that's nice. They did a good job there. Couple of simple standoffs. I do like the blue matching hardware. It looks good. Depending on the variant that you get, you'll get, various color setups or whatever. You could technically attach a lanyard to the barrel, but it's going to be kind of loosey-goosey unless you tie it specifically tight around that barrel, so it might be running into the blade every time you close it. Pocket clips, got a little folder through the center, nothing special. They also didn't mill out for lefties, so sorry lefties. In and out of the pocket, it's a breeze. Really well designed basic clip. Carry depth, about right here. Nothing crazy. Lock bar insert, doubling as the over travel stop, which is good. We have a stop pin that is located... Oh, I didn't realize that. It's actually attached to the blade. I thought it was fixed in place. No, attached to the blade, so we have two lugs traveling on channels, the inside of the titanium. So you get 2 points of contact versus a standard single point of contact when we have one stop pin. That's kind of nice. Allows you to get the blade to lock up properly while maintaining nice smooth action, which, by the way, it does. It locks up completely and totally solid. No blade play up, down, left, or right. No lock stick. No pivot lash. No pivot lash. It's consistent action. Pivot lash is when you can move this up and down. You can feel it moving around the pivot barrel. It's not doing that. Tight but consistent action. This will loosen up. We have a good detent. Just a nice quality detent. Centering, how is that? Looks maybe, no, you know what? It's on. That's perfect centering. And no detent lash. Okay. Not a lot of craziness going on here. Honestly, a really simple design. This is the type of knife that doesn't require, a special review. I think anybody could review this knife and come to about the same conclusions as me. Most people can get that from just watching the first minute of the video, right? But the reason that I make these videos more lengthy is not to try and please everybody. It's really just to cater to the few people who do like to watch my videos all the way through. So thank you. I appreciate that. But, for the people looking for all the details, every last little bit that I can provide, that's why I do it. But either way, however you like to enjoy my content is fine. Ultimately, the best thing about this knife is the price. I don't want to complain too much about it being derivative of a million other designs, and I don't want to complain too much about it lacking in personality. The real bonus here is that it comes in at $156 at base. That's pretty darn good, right? That allows me to kind of wave off some of the other things. So, is it like a revolutionary, like groundbreaking design? Oh my gosh. No, obviously not, right? But the price is good. And, there's some good going with a really safe, like almost universally appealing. I'm not going to say universally appealing. It's just a very broadly appealing design, right? A lot of people look at this and go, yeah, that's kind of what I'm not sure I want something wild and wacky and crazy. Well, this is a lot safer, right? And so the fact that you can get premium materials like S35VN and titanium and have it all come in under $160 is pretty good. Generally speaking, this is a recommendable knife, right? It's not going to be tickling the fancies of any extreme enthusiasts or collectors, but maybe if you're venturing into this territory for the first time and you're just not quite ready to dive into some of the wacky stuff that a lot of us are into, yeah, you're safe here. This is a good knife, right? Kansept knives are made in China. Most people know that. If you didn't, now you know. You're just not going to get these materials truly made in the USA for this price. You're going to have to go with a Chinese OEM. But Kansept does a good job. So anyways, yeah, this is going to go on my recommended knives playlist. It's pretty good. It's not the best thing in the whole world. The main reason I'm putting it in there is the value. It's executed well enough and the design's good enough, but that value is really, it's nice. It's a good one. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.